Okay. So we're going to summarize what we've been talking about in this meeting, just as a kind of a record of how far the project has got this month. So this month, last week, in fact, we had a site visit where 5 of us went around and identified sites along the perimeter fence of the SSSI. We managed to access the SSSI from 3 different points and saw what it looked like inside. But around the outside, you've got some flat areas of what looks like potentially undisturbed gravel. And so we might start our investigations there. That would involve getting the permission of the conservators of Harrow Weald Common. We already have an in-principle support from the biodiversity officer at the council and the people who look after the Harrow Weald Common as well. So what we would do is, one of these flat areas that we've identified, we would sample in various different ways. And what we want to do is put together a kind of a list, a short list of, or even a long list of things that we could test for, starting with things that are easy to test for, testing the matrix for microfossils or mineral, is it heavy mineral analysis that we can do on the clay? And then we would perhaps only need small quantities to be tested. And then going up and maybe taking bucketfuls by augering and test them, see what information we can get from different types of tests. Going right up to the ultimate thing that we would most like to do would be to take a mini digger on site to take samples from that site going in sideways into the side of a bank, so that we would create a vertical section that we can expose and examine. And so our first step is to go and decide exactly what we want to do, and to take conservators and the Harrow Council there to look at what we want to do and to get the agreement on what we can actually do. This completely separate second step is to get into the SSSI and potentially take a sample going down from the top rather than into the side of a bank. But that would require a 3 metre by 3 metre hole to be dug by a JCB. So first step there is to get Natural England, to get the permissions people there to give us permissions to go on site and to do that kind of work. So does that sum up what we've decided? Thoughts?
I think you should add, and for them or you to get permission from the owners who are in the Cayman Islands.
Yes. Okay. So for the SSSI, the owners are in the Cayman Islands, and that's they have to give permission as well. But what we want to do, if we do go into the SSSI, it's about digging a 3 metre hole, 3 metres by 3 metres by 2 metres down. That's what we're going to ask permission to do.
Is it worth mentioning the augering and trying to understand what the is underneath the gravel? Is that an important enough thing to put in?
Yes, I was assuming that we would do that in the first step.
Okay.
In the flat area just outside the SSSI, with the permission of the conservators of Harrow Weald Common, and that would already be done. But if it's not done, you're right. If that hasn't been okayed and done outside the fence, then we would be asking to do that inside the fence.
It would be worth doing it within the SSSI as well on the same occasion, because it wouldn't take all that long, just to see what is at where at its low point, whether it is claygate underneath or even if there's any bag shot.
What do you mean by at its low point?
Well, there's a low point where there's a pond.
Oh, not through the digging of a 3 metre by 3 metre by 2 metre hole, But simply by going in, down,
Augering at the bottom of the pit.
augering at the bottom of the pit. Okay. I have,
See, at the same time, if you're up there with an auger, do augering in that site as well.
if we have permissions by then.
Yeah. The other thing to consider, Peter says that it's not feasible to do the 2 digs in one day. We're looking at probably £500 a throw. So if it was 2 different areas, 2 different days, we're talking about £1,000.
Easily.
Are they the same digger? I kind of thought we were doing different types of holes and would need different types of diggers.
We're talking about the when it comes to actually digging for the pebbles. Not
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
The 2 different holes are 2 different shapes. Can they both be dug by the same machine?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But digging a hole 3 meters by 3 meters by 2 meters deep, that's going to take quite a long time. And then you've got to fill it up again. I'm not sure you would do that in a day and, do the other task. Not. You've got to also factor in, that things might not go as smoothly as you thought, that if you're going.
And you have to backfill at the end of the day too.
And you've got to backfill, yes. Yeah.
I don't think you can drive a mini digger so easily into the SSSI. I think we can easily see how we can do it outside the fence.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to take a while to organise and arrange that much bigger digging into the SSSI. That was my
Yeah.
thinking, but I
Yeah.
might be wrong.
Maybe that needs to be done by hand within the SSSI.
Can we do it by hand?
3 meters by,
I can't, but-
by 2 meters.
That hasn't been
All in
suggested.
the army.
But you're saying that that's something that citizen scientists could do, dig an enormous, great big hole.
We got a pond dug when I was involved in my kids' primary school, and we asked the parents to come in and dig the pond. Actually, we went through the gas main, so we were all evacuated, and the gas man.
Okay.
And while we were evacuated, the gas man dug our pond for us while they were waiting.
We also dug a pond in Ruislip Woods recently. I mean, with a number of people, you can dig down quite a long way, in a day if you've got a lot of people. I suppose that's a thought.
Are there
That hole was
questions
about
Sorry,
that
Right.
hole was about 3 or 4 meters across and about 1.5 meters deep with a step.
Yeah, so it's comparable. And there weren't
There's
that
about
many.
half a dozen people working
Yeah.
on it.
It's mainly 6 or 7 people doing the digging.
It took all day.
Mm.
Yeah, that hole, if I could just mention, that hole in Ruislip Woods, remember, it's very easy to dig because it was that nice clay to dig through. I think might be substantially different if it was gravel that you were digging through.
Yeah, it was easier to dig than it would be in Harrow Common. There wasn't any gravel involved, was there?
No,
John?
no, none at all, no. And it was very easy clay to dig as well, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Mike,
There's something about the clay. It didn't make it difficult to dig. It wasn't sticky like London clay, is it? Fairly
right,
friable.
yeah. Mike, you were going to say something.
one thing, is there issues about how you dig if you dig by hand? Because what you don't, I suppose, do you want a situation where things are continually collapsing in? Or are you trying to gather stuff in situ, if you see what I mean, that stuff from the top would fall into the bottom if it's just dug in a less careful way? And the second thing is about what about liability if there's pipes or things underground and you're involving
The gas.
people?
Yeah, got to be careful. But I think there are at least electricity cables going through the SSSI somewhere.
Yeah, but we know where they are, and they're bright blue, and they're marked and labelled, and they were on the other side from where we were
Okay.
to dig. But yes, obviously we have to check those things.
Going to check those. You need something called a CAT scan. I've never.
What, to detect things underground?
Yeah.
Mm.
Expensive.
I've seen them used often enough. I couldn't operate one myself. You can hire them.
Well,
but
what would be
you
the
have to
reason?
know how to use them.
What would be the reason for thinking that there would be a gas pipe going through a quarry? I mean, I'm sure, surely there are maps that tell you where they put gas pipes.
Not
Yes.
always.
I guess what I'm just thinking is that rather than trying to open up a whole, health and safety nightmare, but is there some issue about involving the wider public, recruiting people to do stuff, and insurance issues? Is that
Yes,
something?
that crossed my mind as well.
Mm.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's a thing we have to look into. But I'm just laying out what all the options are, and then people can say that one's not feasible. If it's not feasible, then we can't do it. But looking into whether there are gas pipes, we can do that. Looking into people digging a big hole, we can. It's not that it can't be done, is it?
We need insurance certainly for
I feel as if
involving the public
at
digging.
this moment, I feel as if I'm going round in circles a little bit. I was trying to summarize what we had said, and
on tangents.
we went off at a rather odd tangent there. The idea was to try and get a JCB in to dig this great big hole in the SSSI, and the question was, do we have to pay twice for a digger to go to the outside of the fence and for another digger to go inside the fence?
If
That's
it's on 2 separate days, yes.
Does it have to be done on 2 separate days? That's the question. And
I don't think you could manage both on the same day.
so that's the answer then.
Yeah.
Once it's being done on 2 separate days, then the second day can be a different thing. They don't have to be the same machine.
Yeah.
No.
No, not at all.
It doesn't have to be the same system.
No.
Okay, that's all I think that we can summarize from today. But again, lots of useful discussions. Thank you everybody for coming along. I think we can stop the recording now.
Okay.